Greetings, YouTube. Once again, happy Wednesday. You know, every time I get one of these surveys from Kabam, I don't know how many people get it. Maybe most people get it. Maybe a few people get it. No clue. But I like to show you what it is Kabam is asking about because we have seen these surveys lead to changes in the game. Some for the better, some for the worse. One of the recent surveys, which I do anticipate in the next few months will have an impact on the Summoner monthly subscription service, is upping the price, but then giving exclusive content or the chance to do some kind of reward system that gives you a better return than maybe even, say, the uncollected or epic monthly quest. But today, it's about champion use. So you are going to watch me take this survey live, and there's 13 unanswered questions, as you can see in the green. How would you rate your ability to fight using champions outside of your top 5 most frequently used champions? You know, I'm going to say I have a good ability. Sure. What modes of play, if any, do you typically use champions outside of your top 5 most frequently used champions for? Definitely the arena. Do we have that? Versus? Yeah, it's good versus. Infinity Dungeons? Yeah, and that's about it. Okay. How would you rate your knowledge of how to fight using champions outside of your top 5? Okay, good knowledge. How many champions in your roster do you feel like you are an expert at using? An expert? What am I, a PhD? Let's just go 20. Let's just sound like an egomaniac. We're going to go 20 plus. How challenging or unchallenging do you find learning to fight with champions that you've recently added to your roster? You know, I think it's somewhat challenging. Just got to be honest. How many fights does it typically take you to understand how to fight effectively with a champion that you've recently added? You know what? I'm going to say 26 plus 30 fights. How challenging or unchallenging do you find learning to fight against champions? Well, if we're talking about somebody like Annihilus, it's very challenging. I still don't know what to do. I kind of just wing it every time, to be honest. How easy or hard do you find fighting opponents who have recently been added to the contest compared to champions who were added before 2018? I think it's much harder because they're made to be better defenders. How many fights does it typically take you to learn how to effectively fight against a champion who's been added to the contest in 2019? 11, 15 fights. In the last 2 weeks, how frequently would you say you do fights to intentionally practice using or fighting a champion? Please select the answer that best fits. I don't know. Let's say multiple times a week because of the arena. Please rate your agreement or disagreement with the following statements. I would be able to do more difficult content if I knew how to fight using my current roster of champions better. I somewhat agree, you know. I got to figure out how to use Sparkle still. Got to be honest. I would invest in ranking up more champions if I understood how to fight with them better. I somewhat agree, but the problem is rank up resources being so rare, not the skill of fighting champions. A lot of champions are just trash. I find it very hard to learn to beat champions that have recently been added to the contest. I somewhat agree. Why not? I would benefit from practicing using my roster of champions in a mode. Okay, so here is the big takeaway, YouTube. I would benefit from practicing using my roster of champions in a mode with no energy cost or stakes. So, basically, the game is trying to figure out, from what I can understand, a way to keep summoners interested in the game, even if they're pulling a lot of trash champions. Like my 8th Thor Jane Foster, my 5-star luck has been historically bad lately. So they're saying, you know, if we give you more time to practice with that champion and a way to not have to depend on dual credits or whatever, maybe that'll help. I still think this game, it's obvious who the best champions are and who the worst are and who are just kind of that middle ground. And so if you've got a bad champion, it doesn't matter how long you practice with that champion, they're still going to be worse than the best champions, and that's the frustration. Now, you're just hopeful that you can pull one of the better champions eventually, but until then, you're going to be frustrated. So I'm going to say somewhat disagree on that. I have a good level of knowledge outside of how to fight using champions who are outside of my top 5 ranked champions. Somewhat agree. I have done fights specifically to practice using a champion and not to win the fight. No, strongly disagree. I always want to win the fight. You kidding me? And my skill and knowledge of how to fight using my roster of champions is holding me back from doing more difficult content. Somewhat disagree. I'm confident fighting with my current roster of champions. Yeah, strongly disagree. Why not? So the real takeaway from this is the practice mode. MCOC could be considering a practice mode. Now, my question to you, YouTube, is would that matter to you? Would that help? I think it would help with newer champions. I remember when I was at MCOC at New York City Comic Con for the Marvel Contest of Champions, and their booth, they had these iPads that you could kind of play around with new champions. And I found that to be really helpful. not just from learning abilities, but for seeing how good they were offensively. Because the problem now, unless you're in the content creators program, you can face them when they're stooped up, steroided up bosses of like the Master and Epic / Uncollected monthly quest, but you can't fight with them unless you pull them in a crystal or grind for them in the arena, and that's part of the frustration. Unless you're in that content creator program select group, you don't have that trial run with the champion to learn about them as an attacker. I practiced fighting with the Spirit Champion to learn how to use them better. Somewhat agree. I mean, that's happened a couple times in my life, but not really that much. I would greatly benefit from knowing how to fight with my roster. Yeah, so these are just really the same questions, right? So there you go. Well, YouTube, I could keep going about this. We're already about 6 minutes, and I feel like that's plenty of time to go ahead and end this video. So what do you think about the practice roster, the questions in this survey? I personally am going to keep saying this. The game is still broken. You still have plenty of people who can't claim their rewards, and some of these milestone rewards, particularly for the solo objectives, are expiring soon. And so until they can fix the game currently, it's hard to talk about changes to the game in the future, and that includes trash offers that the game might be broken for rewards, but we still want you to flex that credit card. It just looks really greedy and totally out of touch with the player base, and I can't really endorse that on my channel right now. So have a good day, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and as always, for supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel.